Raiders fans, today feels like one of those days where football takes over everything, even a holiday weekend. You wake up thinking you're just going to enjoy a quiet moment, maybe grab something to eat, maybe relax with a family. But if you follow this team the way we do, you already know how quickly the day turns into a full-on roller coaster. It does not matter if it is Thanksgiving, a Sunday afternoon, or a random weekday. The Raiders always find a way to make the entire schedule revolve around them. And honestly, that is part of what makes all of this so much fun, because no matter how chaotic things look, there is always something happening on the field that pulls us right back in. And speaking of Thanksgiving, you know how it goes. There is always that expectation that the holiday brings people together, whether it is family, friends, or that one cousin who talks trash the entire night. But for a lot of us, the real tradition has nothing to do with the table and everything to do with football. The games start early, they run all day long, and even if you try to pretend you're not fully invested, you somehow end up glued to the screen. That is the beauty of watching these matchups, especially when one of them can affect the Raiders down the road. Every single snap matters, every drive matters, and every moment feels bigger when you know it could shake up the standings. Looking at the first game of the day, you can already feel that familiar energy you only get from a classic rivalry. Two teams clawing for their place in the playoff race. Two fan bases that absolutely cannot stand each other. In a division where one mistake can drag a team to the bottom for the rest of the season. And honestly, as a football fan, you cannot ask for anything better than that. You look at Detroit on a short week, you look at Green Bay dealing with injuries, and you get that sense that the home team is going to throw everything they have into this one. Short week games are always tricky because preparation time disappears, so physicality becomes the deciding factor. Detroit leans heavily on that physical style, pounding the ball, using force on both sides of the line, and that tends to give them an upper hand when everyone else is still trying to recover from the previous weekend. But while everyone else is focused on what these matchups mean for the standings, Raiders fans are always keeping an eye on who is actually stepping onto the field. Injuries, player rotations, snap counts, small details that most casual fans do not pay attention to, but that end up making a huge difference in tight games. And when a star player is working his way back, the anticipation builds even more. Nothing changes the tone of a game like seeing a big-time contributor return to the lineup, especially when you know that a healthy offense can completely reshape the personality of a team. As the day rolls on, the second matchup is the one everyone has been buzzing about all week. You line up two historic franchises, you throw in a primetime spotlight, and suddenly everyone from hardcore fans to casual viewers is locked in. Kansas City on one side, Dallas on the other, and you cannot script it much better than that. When these two meet, you do not expect a boring defensive grind. You expect quarterbacks letting it fly, wide receivers stretching the field, and an entire stadium reacting to every single deep shot. It is the kind of game where you do not want to look away for even a moment, because the momentum can flip without warning. And there is something about this Dallas team specifically that always brings extra emotion. Maybe it is the national spotlight they always seem to attract. Maybe it is the way their fan base reacts to every win and loss like it is the end of the world, or maybe it is just the pure entertainment factor. Meanwhile, Kansas City, even when they're not playing their best football, still has that ability to explode for a huge quarter out of nowhere. Watching those two collide on a holiday is the perfect setup for chaos. The atmosphere feels bigger, the narratives feel heavier, and the stakes could not be higher with both franchises fighting to stay near the top of the conference. Then you shift over to the AFC North, a division that never disappoints when it comes to intensity. It does not matter what the records are. It does not matter who is favored. Whenever two rivals from that division cross paths, the entire game turns into a street fight. Every yard is contested, every tackle leaves a mark, and every drive feels like a marathon. You look at Cincinnati and Baltimore, and even if the headlines are all about the quarterbacks, the real story always ends up being the physicality. High-scoring expectations usually crash into the reality of these matchups, where defenses play like their lives depend on it. Weird things happen in AFC North games. Balls bounce the wrong way, The weather becomes a factor, and what looked like a shootout on paper turns into a gritty 12-9 final where field goals decide everything. And that is part of what makes watching football on a day like this so electric. You bounce from game to game, each one delivering its own style, its own rhythm, its own storyline. You build your expectations up after watching highlights, stats, and previews all week, but then the actual game takes on a life of its own. Sometimes it is a blowout, sometimes it is a thriller, sometimes it is a strange, unpredictable mess. But no matter what, it keeps you locked in because everything feeds into the bigger picture of the season. And while the national schedule keeps everyone entertained, there's always that personal layer of Thanksgiving that hits differently when you're sharing it with people who love the sport as much as you do. Sitting around, plates full, games on, debating every questionable call, reacting to every touchdown, and pretending you're not stressed, even though everyone in the room knows you absolutely are. Football has a way of bringing people together in a way that nothing else really does. Even when the Raiders are not the team playing, they still find a way to be part of the conversation because everything happening across the league shapes where this season might go next. Raiders fans, as the day moves on and the games keep coming, you start to notice the little things that make Thanksgiving football so unique. It is not just about who wins or loses. It is about how the story unfolds on the field, the momentum swings, the last-second drives, the big hits that make you jump out of your seat, and the plays that leave you yelling at the screen in disbelief. Even when you're just watching a team like the Raiders from afar, you feel the energy from every touchdown, every turnover, and every defensive stop. It is the kind of day where football does not just entertain, it consumes you, and it reminds you why you love this sport so much. And then there's the part of the day that is all about matchups and strategy. When you watch teams playing back-to-back on short weeks, you start to notice how coaches adapt, how quarterbacks change their approach, how running backs are utilized differently, and how the depth chart becomes more than just a list of names. Every play is scrutinized. Every formation is analyzed. And for Raiders fans who have been through years of highs and lows, it is that analysis, that attention to detail, that keeps the hope alive. You're always looking for that sign, that spark, that moment that shows this team is capable of making a statement when it matters most. Looking at the mid-afternoon games, there is always that one matchup that grabs your attention, even if the Raiders are not directly involved. Maybe it is a classic rivalry. Maybe it is a team fighting to stay in playoff contention, or maybe it is a situation where everything is on the line. You watch the quarterbacks, the receivers, the running backs, and you see patterns forming. You notice how one team adjusts after halftime, how a defensive coordinator might gamble on a fourth down, or how a single big play can completely shift the dynamic of the game. Football at this level is as much about psychology and momentum as it is about athletic ability. And when you watch closely, you can see it all unfolding in real time. And then comes the late games, the ones where the playoff implications are clearer, where the pressure is undeniable, and where every snap feels monumental. The atmosphere in the stadium, even if you are watching from home, is palpable. You can almost feel the tension in the air, the collective energy of tens of thousands of fans, all hoping, all screaming, all celebrating or mourning with every movement of the ball. For those of us who have been following the Raiders for years, these moments are what you live for. You remember the heartbreaks, the last-minute wins, the seasons that turn on a single play, and you realize that every Thanksgiving, every football-filled holiday, is another chance to experience that same intensity. And while the games rage on, there is always the personal side of the day that makes it special. The way food, family, and football intersect to create something memorable. It is the discussions at the table about key plays, the debates over controversial calls, the laughter when someone spills a drink in excitement after a big touchdown, and the pride of watching your favorite team succeed or knowing that the next week offers another chance to get it right. Football on Thanksgiving has this way of blending tradition with sport, and for Raiders fans, it often becomes the highlight of the holiday, no matter what else is going on around them. Watching the league unfold also reminds you how unpredictable football can be. Teams that looked unstoppable last week might struggle today. Injuries change the course of a game in an instant. Rookie players step up and make critical plays, while seasoned veterans have off days. And when you're following the Raiders, every league-wide event matters because it influences rankings, playoff positioning, and potential matchups. You find yourself analyzing stats, rewatching highlights, and keeping track of trends, all while the aromas of Thanksgiving meals fill the room and the chatter of family and friends mixes with commentary and reactions to the games. It is chaos, but it is a beautiful chaos, one that perfectly captures the essence of football fandom. And as the final hours of the day approach, it is impossible not to reflect on the unique combination of sportsmanship, competition, and camaraderie that Thanksgiving football represents. Every game tells a story. Every player contributes to a narrative larger than themselves, and every moment on the field offers insight into the resilience, strategy, and sheer athleticism required at this level. Whether it is a defensive line dominating the trenches, a quarterback threading perfect passes under pressure, or a receiver making a contested catch in the end zone, these are the moments that define the day, that define the season, and that keep fans coming back year after year. And for Raiders fans in particular, it is always about keeping that connection alive. Watching the games, celebrating the plays, debating the calls, remembering the highs and lows of previous seasons, and feeling every victory and loss as if it happened personally. Football on Thanksgiving is not just entertainment. It is a ritual, a shared experience that brings fans together across generations and across states. It is about passion, loyalty, and the understanding that every game is an opportunity to witness something extraordinary. Even if the Raiders are not directly involved in every matchup, their presence in the conversation, their impact on league standings, and the anticipation of their next performance always keeps fans fully engaged. And finally, as the day winds down and the last plays are made, you realize that Thanksgiving football is about more than just the scoreboard. It is about the atmosphere, the excitement, the shared experience, and the moments that will be remembered for years to come. It is about the way a perfectly executed play can make you jump, how a game-winning drive can leave you speechless, and how the love of the sport can bring people together in a way nothing else can. Raiders fans know this better than anyone, because every season has its challenges, its triumphs, and its unforgettable moments. And even when the team is not perfect, the experience of watching, analyzing, celebrating, and reacting with fellow fans makes every game day, every Thanksgiving, and every moment spent following this sport absolutely priceless. And as the night winds down, Raiders fans carry the day with them, discussing the plays, analyzing the stats, and anticipating the next challenges. The experience lingers, not just because of the scores, but because of the stories, the surprises, and the shared emotions that define the holiday experience. Football on Thanksgiving is an immersive journey, one that blends competition, community, and celebration into a single, unforgettable day. Every yard, every pass, every touchdown contributes to a narrative that fans will recount for weeks to come, reliving the excitement, debating the strategy, and remembering the moments that made the holiday extraordinary. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The usually controlled atmosphere surrounding the Las Vegas Raiders facility was reportedly shattered late yesterday afternoon, following a blistering comment made by none other than Kansas City Chiefs star Patrick Mahomes. While the exact context of the quarterback's words remains shrouded in speculation, the phrase itself, a pointed critique reportedly aimed directly at the silver and black organization, has sent shockwaves through the AFC West and well beyond. Sources close to the team indicate that the fallout has been immediate and intensely personal, focusing particularly on one of the Raiders' most fiery leaders. The intensity reached a reported boiling point when Pro Bowl defensive end Maxx Crosby was allegedly confronted with the comment. According to multiple whispers circulating through the competitive landscape of the NFL, Crosby's reaction was nothing short of furious. The star pass rusher, known for his relentless motor and passionate defense of the Raiders' shield, reportedly took the critique as a profound personal slight and an insult to the entire city of Las Vegas. It was explosive, one source purportedly close to the situation claimed. Max heard what was said, and let's just say his usual intensity got turned up to 11. There's a deeply rooted animosity there now, fueled by what he views as a lack of respect. While the content of Mahomes' controversial statement has been carefully guarded, the common consensus is that it addressed the Raiders' current standing or recent performances in a dismissive, possibly mocking manner. This isn't just standard AFC West trash talk. The nature of the comment seems to have crossed an invisible line, turning a heated rivalry into a potential vendetta. The ripple effect is tangible. Discussions around team morale and future locker room interactions are dominating conversations across local sports talk radio. The buzz suggests this single, incendiary quote has done more to galvanize the Raiders' defense than any coach's speech could ever hope to achieve. The next meeting between these two perennial rivals is now etched in stone as a must-see event, charged with genuine, deep-seated resentment. Mahomes' words have ignited a powder keg. Crosby and his defensive cohorts are now reportedly playing with a newly acquired, laser-focused edge, a need for vengeance that promises to make their next performance particularly memorable. The noise emanating from Vegas is deafening. The gauntlet has been thrown down, and the Raiders are ready to meet the challenge with fury. The league is on notice. A simmering feud is about to boil over, and Maxx Crosby is leading the charge. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.